orange pretty much head to toe. From your shirt, you have to see the socks.
The socks,
Look at these socks. Oh, no, in the bottom of the shoe. In the bottom of the shoe.
It's everywhere. Orange was just a way to stand out. And I don't know, it just caught on. I wore orange in that first meeting we had with Walgreens.
With Walgreens. And I talked to the director of marketing at Walgreens, and she was saying when you walked in the door, I mean, they were a very formal workplace. And then here's this guy, Ido, who walks in with orange head to toe, except you don't wear orange pants. I'm really curious about that.
I have one pair of orange pants, and they look so terrible. I can't even begin to tell you. I wore them to one event, never again. I even shocked myself.
So where did this all come from? I mean, who did you model yourself after? I mean, it just didn't just come to you one morning, I would imagine. I'm just going to wear orange today.
I grew up in a family where everything was positive. Everything was about yes. My parents had made a ton of money growing up and lost it all. And even when we lost everything and we were down to our last dime and I was taken out of my school and we moved to a different house, my parents were always yes people. And my dad, when I must have been in my early 20s, gave me a book to read. And the book was Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson. I looked at how he built his brand, and it was all about really creating the stories, create the jumping out of the plane, the jumping on the balloon ride, whatever it was, being number one and challenging and being a positive aggressor in the market.
But truly embracing who you are and then creating a culture around that.
Look, I'm a bald guy that sells hair care, for God's sakes. You've got to be somewhat...
Well, when I first found out, it was a man who actually was creating these natural beauty products. I was a little surprised.
So for me, culture is not one that we should also take for granted. What's funny is that we've not always had great times. There's been times that have been really tough.
Yeah, you've made some pretty big mistakes with your quirkiness and aggressive, persistent ways in the last 4 years.
There were times that we walked out of meetings. So the good news is we've got 5,800 stores, a whole shelf at Walgreens. The bad news is they want it all, literally, in a few months.
And then on top of that, then you had the Home Shopping Network, right around that same period, that wanted 45,000 gift sets.
That created one of the most exciting and probably one of the most scary stories of YesTo's history, because we made the product, and when it came down to getting what's this thing called a drop test, which is effectively they pick up the thing and they drop it 8 times. And one of our corners cracked, meaning that they weren't going to take the shipment. If they didn't take the shipment, we were probably going to be out of business. So at 11 o'clock at night, I get a call from my factory manager, and he goes, "Ido, we've got a problem." And they'd finally figured out that you need a little bit more packing tape to fix the problem. So we got everybody we knew, hundreds of people, to literally line, you think of tables, hundreds of, like 100 meters long, 4 of them.
Was it one of those pizza and beer kind of nights?
48 hours straight. We didn't make the shipping deadline. We got approved, which was good. And then we had to go beg El Al, Israel's biggest airline,
What made you think to go to the airlines, to have them fly your...
We had no other option.
What happened to FedEx?
Trust me, there was no money for FedEx.
No money for it.
2 767s.
That was cheaper than going with FedEx?
Yeah, 2 whole 767s. At first I tried to get 1 whole 747, and they told me that wasn't going to be enough. So we needed to get 2 767s. They filled them with product. We got special clearance to take the goods all the way from the factory to the airport. And then special clearance in Miami to have trucks come up to the plane, pull it to get it there on time. And it was a sellout show. It was amazing. And it just pushed us to do more and more. No wasn't in our vocabulary at the time, because I looked at it. Have you ever played Monopoly? Mm-hmm. In Monopoly, when you roll the dice and you go around that board, no matter what you land on, you buy it. And we wanted to be on every shelf that was worthwhile.
But you didn't have any money. But, at first, you had barely $1 million from selling your other company.
We were so naive that the first time...
And you took these huge risks.
Well, the first time we got our order from Walgreens for what was 800 of each item to go on their online trial, 16 products. And I thought that was a no-brainer. We could do that easily. We had plenty of time. And I get a call the night before to look at my order. And at the time I had an old Nokia phone. And I'm scrolling through this email and the numbers look wrong. I didn't understand. So I called up the logistics people in America and I said, "What's going on?" And said, "No, the numbers are right." We were wrong. They didn't place 800 units of each item. They placed 800 cases of each item. We're talking 9,600 units of product. Talk about panic. So yeah, we were a little bit naive, and we were really excited though.
Would it be fair to say maybe a little bit of, I mean, I know before you started YesTo, you did have the experience, you had a consulting company that helped other companies distribute their products globally and create a global business strategy. So you did have the background and you were successful and you probably made a lot of your mistakes there. That's why it's surprising for me that when you came into YesTo, you still had all these mistakes that you were making along the way.
Sometimes we needed to do these extra things, these extraordinary things. We needed to do them without thinking too much, because otherwise we never would have got to where we got. Sometimes gut needed to drive us versus, you know, that Excel spreadsheet.
So do you think that you can keep up at this pace? Sometimes a gimmick can last, 4 years, but how do you make this orange and culture thing sustainable so that you can, get to really be ultra competitive with Burt's Bees at $200 million a year?
Well, we're already there.
$40 to $60 million in revenue versus $200 million in revenue.
I can tell you that they're pretty stressed. One of the reasons why we know they're pretty stressed, they're coming out with a new brand right now which is specifically angled towards us. And we know that because they just mentioned it actually in some press last week. And in specific categories, skincare for example, we're really up there. And I think that the next level for us, now that we've got the team, now that we've been able to professionalize it, it's to really make sure that we stay very true to our culture. And that's how we're going to win.